You opened YouTube because something this week made you feel behind on AI. You're tired of it. Good news. You're not behind yet. You're behind only on what won't matter in 6 months. The durable skill, the one that hasn't moved in 18 months, is still open. This isn't a Python roadmap or a tool list. If you're non-technical with 2 or 3 hours a week, stay. In the next 16 minutes, I'll show you how to learn AI, what the durable skill is, how to pick yours, and one thing you can do tomorrow morning. So let me name the scene because I think you'll recognize it. It's 11 at night. You scroll past a post that says something like, if you aren't using AI agents by now, you're 12 months behind. You think, maybe I should learn AI. You open ChatGPT. You stare at the blank prompt. You close the tab. You scroll a bit more and you go to bed feeling slightly worse than when you started. If that's a scene you recognize, even loosely, this video is for you. If you're not behind, then where do you actually start? Here's the one-breath answer. Core search. Answer preview. The way to learn AI right now, if you are a non-technical professional, is to build 4 skills. Not 7, not 12, 4. The first is judgment. When to reach for an AI tool, when not to, and how to read what it gives you. The second is prompting, but specifically prompting tuned to the actual work you do, not generic prompt templates from a thread. Your work, your inputs, your standards. The third is evaluation, looking at AI output and being able to tell, honestly, whether it is good, bad, almost right, or quietly wrong in a way that will cost you later. And the fourth is small workflow design, taking one task you already do and rearranging it so AI plays a piece of it without you losing oversight. That's the answer. Judgment, prompting for your own work, evaluation, small workflow design. Most people, when they decide to learn AI, try to learn all of those at once by way of 7 different tools with no plan. And by week 3, they have closed 5 tabs and they are scrolling LinkedIn at 11 at night again. We will see in a moment why most people pick the wrong one to start with and how to pick yours instead. Now, before we go deeper, let's name what behind actually means in 2026, because that's where most people get confused. What behind actually means in 2026. Here is what behind actually means, honestly. Recent McKinsey survey work puts regular generative AI use among knowledge workers somewhere in the 40 to 70% range, depending on how the question is asked. Which sounds like a lot until you flip it. That's roughly half the people you work with sitting where you are sitting, blinking at the same blank prompt. The number you have been quietly comparing yourself to was wrong from the start. The pace is real. The fear is mostly manufactured. 2 things at once. The pace of significant AI launches over the last 18 months has been faster than any comparable window. New models, new agents, new features every week. That is true, and you have been living through it. What is also true is that most of those launches are noise from your specific position. A new model release rarely changes what a marketing freelancer or a small firm consultant actually needs to do on Monday morning. The skill required to use AI well in your work has not moved at the same pace as the announcements. It has moved very slowly, almost imperceptibly. So when someone tells you you should already be using AI agents by now, what they really mean is, I would feel better if more people were doing what I am doing. That's their problem, not yours. Remember the scroll at 11 at night, the post that made you feel a little smaller? Most of what made you feel behind this week was somebody's marketing problem, not your career problem. Behind is local, not industry-wide. Your specific team might be ahead of you on a specific tool. That is a real, fixable thing. But behind the industry, the way LinkedIn frames it, that one is not a meaningful claim. The window is still open, not infinite, but open. Knowing you're not behind, though, is useless unless you know what is actually worth practicing. And most people pick the wrong thing here. Durable versus churn-prone AI skills. So here is the line that almost nobody draws clearly. There are durable AI skills and there are churn-prone tool skills. Most learning advice on the internet mixes them together. They are not the same. 18 months ago, half the AI content on the internet was about a specific prompt engineering syntax, chain of thought tricks, persona stacking. Act as a senior engineer with 20 years of experience. Some of that still helps a little. Most of it is completely unnecessary now because the models got better. People who spent that year learning those tricks, and only those tricks, are starting over. People who spent that year practicing judgment about what they were actually trying to do, and those people are still ahead with completely different tools in front of them. Judgment is the durable skill. Tools are the rotating skin. Let me unpack the 4 durable skills properly, because in the previous section I just named them. Judgment is the skill of asking, is this task something AI helps with, or is this something where AI quietly makes me worse? Most tasks have an honest answer. Drafting a first version of a client memo? Yes, AI usually helps. Deciding whether to fire a vendor? No, AI shouldn't be the one running that. Judgment is choosing correctly, without thinking about it. Prompting tuned to your own work means you stop pasting in templates from threads. You start writing prompts that name your actual context, your client, your standards, the thing you usually get wrong, the part the reader will skim. Generic prompting tutorials cannot teach you that. Only your own work can. Evaluation is the skill of looking at AI output and not being lazy about it. The model wrote you a summary. Is it accurate? Is the framing right? Is something subtly wrong? Something you would have caught in a colleague's draft but missed here because the AI sounded so confident? This one ages incredibly slowly. The better models get, the more this skill matters. Confident-sounding wrong answers are harder to spot than nervous-sounding wrong answers, and the models keep getting more confident. And small workflow design is taking a real task, writing a proposal, building a presentation, answering a thread of customer emails, and figuring out where AI fits as one piece of the chain, not the whole chain. You decide what stays human. You decide what gets handed off. You decide what gets reviewed. This is unglamorous. There are no thumbnails for it. It also outlasts every individual tool because the choreography of a task survives whatever specific model you happen to be using this quarter. Notice what's not on this list: Python, fine-tuning, building agents from scratch. Those are real skills, they matter. But if you want them, that's a different path, and that's a different video. For most of you, those would just be more tabs you close at 11 at night. And notice what else is not on this list: memorizing a specific tool's interface, learning to wire up automations between 5 different apps, mastering the latest agent framework before the next one ships. Those will all be different in 9 months. The 4 I just named will not. So how do you choose between the 4 for your specific situation? 3 questions. How to pick your 1 to 2 skills. The 3-question filter. Use this on each of the 4 durable skills and pick 1 or 2 that pass all 3. Question 1. Does this skill apply to a task I already do every week? If no, deprioritize it. You need transfer, not novelty. Learning evaluation is useless if you do not regularly look at someone else's writing, your own writing, or any output that needs checking. Learning workflow design is useless if you do not have a workflow you already do manually. Question 2. Will I be able to tell honestly whether I am getting better at it? If no, you do not have a feedback loop and practice will drift. Judgment without feedback is just guessing more confidently. Prompting without feedback is just hoping. You need a way to compare this week's output to last week's. Question 3. Could I keep practicing this skill if my favorite tool got deprecated next month? If no's, the skill is bound to a specific tool, not to judgment. That's a sign you accidentally picked a churn-prone skill wearing a durable disguise. Pick the 1 or 2 where the answer is yes to all 3. Let me walk through a worked example. So this is not abstract. Picture one specific kind of person, a solo consultant, 5 years in, 2 clients, no team. She doesn't know Python. She hasn't read an AI paper. She has maybe 2 hours a week she can spend deliberately. She runs the 3 questions. Judgment. She makes maybe 30 small decisions a week about what to delegate, what to draft herself. Yes on all 3. Prompting for her own work. She writes client memos every week. She can tell when one lands and when one doesn't. Yes on all 3. Evaluation. She reads other people's drafts, maybe twice a week. Yes, but lighter than the first two. Workflow design? She has one workflow she does manually, building a weekly client update, and that she could redesign. Yes, but only one workflow, which limits practice. She picks two: judgment and prompting for her own work. She drops evaluation and workflow design, not because they don't matter, but because for her, in the next 30 days, they would not get enough repetitions. That's the whole point of the filter. You're not ranking the skills by importance. You're ranking them by how often you'll actually practice them in your real week. Now run the same 3 questions against your own week, not someone else's week, yours. The tasks that show up on your calendar between Monday and Friday. Most of you will end up picking judgment plus one other, because judgment touches almost every task you do. The second one depends on whether your week has more writing in it, more reviewing, or more workflow-shaped tasks. Now imagine her 6 months in. She's picked exactly those 2 and practiced them. Just those 2 every week for 2 hours. By month 6, consultants who practice like that end up noticeably faster than peers who tried to learn 5 tools at once. 2 hours of one thing beats 10 hours of 5 things. Every single time. Once you've picked, though, the practice block is where most people lose the plot. Here is the small structure that holds. Next 30 days. Practice plan, 30 days, 4 weeks, 1 repeating 1-week template. Here is the structure. Day 1 of week 1. You pick one real task you actually do at work this week, not a made-up exercise, a real task. An email you would write anyway, a document you would draft anyway, a decision you would think through anyway. Days 2 and 3, you do the task once your normal way with no AI. Then you do it once with AI assistance. You write 3 or 4 lines comparing what was different, faster, slower, better, worse, surprising, anything you noticed. Days 4 and 5, you repeat with a slight variation. Different prompt, different framing, different evaluation criterion. You're not chasing perfection. You're building a comparison shelf in your head. Day 6, you show one of the AI-assisted outputs to one trusted peer. 1. You ask one specific question, not "what do you think?" but something tighter like, "Would you have spotted that this paragraph is slightly wrong in the second sentence?" Day 7 is the weekly checkpoint. 1 paragraph in a notes file. What did I learn this week? What will I do differently next week? That's the whole checkpoint. If you skip it, this becomes another half-finished course, and you will, 3 weeks from now, be back to scrolling LinkedIn at 11 at night. The weekly checkpoint is what holds the rest. You repeat the same 1-week template 4 times. End of 30 days, you reevaluate. If the gain is still rising, you continue. If you've plateaued, you move to your second durable skill, same template. Deliberate practice research is clear that focused short blocks beat scattered long sessions for new skill acquisition. 2 hours a week on one thing for 4 weeks? That is a focused short block. 5 tools an hour each on different day, that is scattered long sessions. The math of attention is brutal here, and it does not favor the chase. Before we close, one more thing nobody's going to tell you because it doesn't get clicks. Permission moment plus ending. You don't have to chase every model launch. You don't have to learn Python. You don't have to keep up with daily AI news. None of those are required to be good at AI for your work. They are required to be good at being terminally online about AI. Different jobs. The pace is real. The fear is mostly manufactured. The skill is judgment. And the practice, the real durable practice, starts tomorrow morning. Here's the tomorrow morning move. You take one real task, one email, one document, one decision, and you do it once the normal way and once with AI help. 5 minutes after, you write down what was different. That is the whole first move. No course, no subscription, no 15 tabs. By the end of next week, you will have picked one skill and started one small practice block. By the end of the month, you'll know whether to keep going on that skill or move to the second one. That is enough. That has always been enough. The window is open. Not infinite, but open. You're not behind yet. You're behind only on the parts that will not matter in 6 months. And now you know which parts those are. If you want to go further on this, the most useful next thing is to think harder about the second skill on the list, the one most people skip and most regret skipping. I'll cover that next.